Let me ask you a question. If one of your employees uploaded a spreadsheet with every client's social security number, home address, and date of birth into a public AI tool today, would you even know it happened? What about your internal pricing, your margins, your vendor contracts, your HR files? Here's the reality. It's already happening. Not at some other company, not in some future scenario, right now in businesses just like yours. Research from late 2025 found that nearly 35% of everything employees type or paste into ChatGPT contains sensitive business data. That is up from 11% just 2 years before. And 77% of employees who use AI at work are copying and pasting company information directly into those tools. Social security numbers, client records, financial data, internal pricing sheets, HR documents, strategy decks. And here's the part that should keep you up at night. 82% of that data is going through personal accounts that your IT team cannot see. They can't monitor and they cannot stop it. It's not a future problem. This is today's problem. And the question every CEO, every business owner, every board member needs to answer right now is simple. Do you want to launch a secure AI and get ahead of your competition? Or do you want to explain the breach to your board? Let me be clear about something before we go any further. AI is not the enemy. AI is one of the most powerful business tools we've ever seen in this generation or any generation. It can save time, it can improve communication, it can speed up decision making, and it can even make your employees dramatically more productive. The enemy is uncontrolled AI. The enemy is giving your team access to powerful technology without a policy, training, without approved environment, and without any visibility into what is actually being shared. Think about this. If you could do a task in 15 minutes with AI that normally takes 4 hours manually, what are you going to do? If that is your 8 hour workload for a day, are you going to spend 4 hours doing it by hand? Or are you going to paste that spreadsheet into ChatGPT and let it do the work in 15 minutes? Your employees, they already made that decision. And most of them are not doing it to be malicious. They're doing it because they want to be better at their job. They want to be more efficient. They want to get ahead. But what they do not understand is what happens to that data once it leaves your environment. And what most business leaders do not understand is they have zero visibility into it. Now, let me walk you through the risk profile of every major AI tool your employees are probably using right now, because each one has a very different vulnerability, and most businesses have not thought through any of them. ChatGPT is the most widely used AI tool in enterprise. Over 90% of employees who use AI at work are using ChatGPT. It dominates the market. But here's the problem. ChatGPT sits on the public internet. It's not inside your environment. It is not behind a firewall, and it is not governed by your policies. And employees are pasting everything into it. Client emails, client contracts, financial data, proposals, HR issues, internal strategy documents, source code with embedded API keys, and even passwords. We've absolutely seen passwords in some of these files. A few years ago, engineers at Samsung accidentally leaked confidential semiconductor data through ChatGPT while debugging source code. We talked about that a few months ago. That was not hypothetical. It was a Fortune 500 company with a real breach caused by an employee just trying to do their job faster and better. And in early 2026, researchers discovered vulnerability in ChatGPT that allowed conversation data to be extracted through a hidden channel, bypassing the platform's own security controls. OpenAI patched it, but the window of exposure was real, at least for a period of time. On top of that, Over 255,000 ChatGPT login credentials were found for sale on the dark web, harvested by malware from employee devices. Once an attacker logs in with stolen credentials, they have access to the entire chat history of an account, every prompt, every paste, every document that was ever shared. And this is happening right now. Things like deploying and utilizing Google Chrome and saving your password. Gemini is deeply integrated with Google Workspace. That means it has access to your Gmail, your Google Drive, your documents, your sheets, your calendar. The risk here is similar to Copilot, which we will get into in a moment. If your Google Workspace permissions are not tight, Gemini can surface information across your environment that users should not be seeing. And because Gemini is built by one of the largest advertising and data companies on the planet, businesses need to be thoughtful about what data flows through that ecosystem, especially if you're going to operate in healthcare, legal, financial services, and any of those regulated industries. And more importantly, with customer client data. Claude has strong privacy policies out of the box, and it does not train on business data by default. But that doesn't eliminate risk. The risk is the same in every public LLM. Your employees are still pasting confidential information into a tool that exists outside your network. The data still leaves your environment. Researchers documented a case where attackers reportedly used Claude and ChatGPT as part of the cyber attack campaign, targeting government systems, using AI tools to generate scripts, refine their exploits, and even accelerate their attack flow. The AI did not hack anything on its own, but it made the attacker smarter, faster, and harder to detect. That is the world we're operating in right now. Microsoft Copilot. Let me talk about the one that most people assume it is safe because it has the word Microsoft's name on it. Microsoft Copilot. Copilot is absolutely powerful. For the right company with the right governance, it can create real productivity gains. But here's what most business leaders do not understand. Copilot does not have on its own a security model. It inherits every single permission that already exists in your Microsoft 365 environment. So if your tools were built 10, 15, and 20 years ago, you've inherited everything from before. That means your SharePoint permissions are messy. Copilot makes them searchable. If your team's channel have overshared files, Copilot can summarize them for anyone who asks. If an employee technically has access to HR compensation files, executive strategy documents, client contracts, or even financial data, they should not be able to see that. But yet, with Copilot, it will surface that information instantly. One study found that 16% of business critical data in the average organization is overshared. That is over 800,000 files per company that are accessible to people who have probably or should not have access to them. Now, before Copilot, those files were buried. An employee would have to know where to look and to navigate to the right SharePoint site, and most never did. With Copilot, they just ask a question. Show me the executive compensation report. Summarize the layoff plan. What are our margins on this client? And Copilot, without any question, answers it because it has permissions to. That person will always be able to get in because they were never excluded 10 years ago when they joined the company. Copilot does not create the permission problem. It exposes the permission problem at machine speed. The U.S. House of Representatives banned staff from using Copilot entirely because of the risk of data exposure. One consulting firm reported that 60% of organizations that deploy Copilot without a security assessment experience a data breach or exposure incident within 90 days. That should get your attention. Years ago, we dealt with shadow IT, employees signing up for random cloud apps, file sharing tools, project management platforms without IT approval. It created security nightmares and compliance gaps. Shadow AI is the same problem, but even worse. Because AI tools process, summarize, rewrite, and store information at speed and scale that cloud apps never could. Your employee pastes a client's medical records into ChatGPT to draft an insurance letter. Now that data exists outside your network and compliance framework. Your sales rep, they're going to upload a pricing spreadsheet with internal margins and client specific rates to get help building a proposal. That data, gone. You cannot recall it once it's been put into the system. Your HR manager copies performance reviews with employee names and feedback into an AI tool that help rewrite the language. That is now a potential HIPAA, GDPR, or state privacy law violation, depending on what was included. And the research tells us this is not rare. It is routine. Now, 77% of employees who use AI at work are copying and pasting company data into these platforms, and 67% of those interactions happen throughout the personal accounts that IT cannot see. This is not a technology failure, it is a governance failure. And most companies have not caught up yet. We talked about browser security in previous episode. The ability to protect your organization from shadow AI by controlling what can and cannot be shared from work devices. Controlling external accesses. Limiting who can and which tools and where they're from. That layer matters now more than ever. Now, let me hit you with a risk that almost nobody is talking about today. Your employees are not the only ones putting your data in AI. Your vendors are too. Your contractors are as well. Your third-party service providers are absolutely doing this. Think about how many outside companies touch your data on a daily basis. Client data, data about your P&L, could be just about anything. And guess what? That third-party accountant, they have everything they need to dump into a file and get AI to help them process whatever it is faster. Your HR vendor has your employee records. Your marketing agency has your client list. Your IT provider has access to your entire infrastructure. Your legal team has your contracts, your disputes, your intellectual property. And now ask yourself this question. Do any of these vendors have an AI usage policy? Have you seen it? Have you had them sign one of yours? Do you know if their employees are pasting your data into ChatGPT to speed up their work? Problem is, you probably don't. Because here's what's happening right now. A bookkeeper uploads your client's accounts to receive a spreadsheet into AI tool to help reconcile the numbers faster. That spreadsheet has client names, payment accounts, account numbers, and outstanding balances. It is now sitting on a public AI platform. A marketing contractor takes your entire client list, your contact database, your segmentation data. It uploads it into an AI tool to help write a targeted email campaign to all of your best potential targets. Your client list, your competitive advantage, is now outside of your control. A third-party HR administrator pastes employees' social security numbers, salary information, and benefits data into an AI tool that can help generate compliance report. That is a potential breach of every privacy regulation that applies to your business. An outside sales consultant uploads your internal pricing sheet, the one with your margins, your cost structure, and your client-specific rates into an AI to help build the proposal. Your pricing strategy is now exposed, and none of these people work for you. They work for companies you trust with your data. Companies that may have no AI policy, no training, and no governance, and no visibility into what their own employees are doing with AI tools. You cannot control what you cannot see. And right now, most businesses have zero visibility into their vendors and third parties. This is not a future risk. This is happening today. And it is happening at companies that you trust, staffed by people who are not trying to cause harm. They're just trying to do their job faster, just like your employees. The difference is that when your vendor causes a breach, you are still the one explaining it to your clients and your board. This is not just a cybersecurity issue. This is a business risk issue. If your employees or your vendors upload client social security numbers into a public AI tool, you may have a reportable data breach on your hands. Depending on your industry, your state, that triggers notification requirements, potential fines, lawsuits, and reputational damage that could last forever. Now, if your internal pricing gets exposed, your competitors now know your margins. Your negotiating leverage disappears. And if HR data gets leaked through an AI tool, you're looking at employment law liability, potential discrimination claims, and regulatory scrutiny. If your strategy documents end up in a training data set, your competitive positioning is no longer yours. And if a client finds out their confidential information was pasted into a public AI tool by your employee or by a vendor you hired, that relationship is probably over, and the liability still falls on you. These are not hypothetical risks. Billions of social security numbers have been found exposed in unsecured databases. Government employees have been caught taking sensitive citizen data on thumb drives. AI chat platforms with millions of users have had their entire message databases exposed. This is the landscape today. The question is whether you're going to address it or proactively react to it. This is where our AI tool changes the conversation. It's not another random chatbot. It's not another tool to add to the pile. This AI tool gives companies a secure, structured way to adopt AI, a controlled environment where your team can use AI to improve productivity, speed up workflows, create competitive advantages, all without that risk we just spent the last 15 minutes talking about. Instead of your employees using whatever tool they want, pasting whatever data they want into whatever public platform they want, your company can say, here's the approved AI environment that includes all of those potential tools, Claude, ChatGPT, and all of the latest models inside of it. Here's how we protect sensitive information. And here's how we make sure the right people have access to the things and keeping those wrong people out. Here's how we monitor everything that gets uploaded, changed, or edited. Here's how we lock down shadow AI so documents cannot be shared with an unauthorized tool. And here's how we limit external access so nobody is pulling your data from a personal laptop at a coffee shop. And here is how we make sure that when a third-party vendor touches your data, there's boundaries in place that protect you even when your employees make mistakes. And here's how we turn AI from a liability into a measurable business advantage. This is the difference between an AI experimental and an AI strategy. And that's the difference that is going to separate the companies that win over the next 2 to 3 years from the companies that are still going to be trying to figure out what happened after that breach. Now, let me be direct with you. We're having this conversation with business across Southern California and the entire United States, including Canada. Not next quarter, not next year, right now. This platform completely exists, does everything that an organization is going to need to lock down AI while still having access to all of the features and shutting down shadow AI. The companies that launch a secure AI first will have the structural advantage over every competitor who waits, testing and throwing in just about every Excel spreadsheet and knowing that it can never get out. That is critical when you're doing tests and you're not trying to limit your people in their work. They will respond to clients faster, they're going to close deals faster, and they will reduce admin work. They're even going to be able to build agents that help them do the monotonous work that a human shouldn't be doing anymore anyway. They will onboard employees faster, they're going to make better decisions with better data. They will protect their clients and their reputation. And the best of all, they will do it without creating the security exposure that their competitors are absolutely ignoring that you are not. AI is not going to be optional. Every company will use AI. That is settled. Only one question is whether you use it securely, strategically, or whether you let it run wild and hope nothing goes wrong. Hope? It's not a strategy. And by the time a breach forces you to act, your competitors already launched. They've already locked down their environment and to the client that was deciding between you and them. Now, here's what I want you to do. If anything in this episode made you uncomfortable, good. We've said that for the last couple weeks because it's true. That was the point. Because the risk is real. This is happening right now, and the window to get ahead of this is closing faster and faster with each week, and even now, day. We're offering a 15-minute conversation. That's it, 15 minutes. In that time, we can show you the gap between where your company is today and where it needs to be. We can show you how our AI platform creates a secure AI environment for your business. And we can show you where the competitive advantage is. The only question is whether we are having that conversation with you or your competition. Because whoever calls first is going to get a head start. Early bird gets the worm. Now, the booking link is in the show notes. We even have access to a 30-minute meeting. Take that 15 to 30 minutes. It could be the most important meeting you take this quarter. This has been The Digital Dilemma. I am Nick Dreyfus. Until next time.